Long time ago, in a distant village in Africa, the villagers do not have the financial resources to meet their basic needs. They were unable to afford the minimum necessities of life, with difficulty finding enough food. The emotional toll of unpaid bills and poverty has an impact on their daily life. Their children have to work to support their family. This destroys the children. The children never get proper schooling. Some children are also involved in crime like theft, murder, robbery due to lack of food. They remain uneducated and are forced to live under unhygienic conditions. They have no proper sanitation. They die an early death due to their poor and unhygienic environment and bad water. Although the villagers are aware that they live in poverty, the villagers refuses to leave the village because they have nowhere to, and they all also believe that the village was their origin, so they can never leave their home to go to another man's village. The main thing affecting the village and also reducing their income is drought. Drought reduces their income. Farmer crop die, the animal they rear also fall ill and some die. Villagers that sell boat and fishing equipment too. Fishermen will not be able to sell their good because drought has dried up lakes and other water sources. Fishermen also will not be able to catch fish because of drought. Despite the high level of drought the villagers face, they still endure the hardship. The villagers always believe that better days are around the corner. The drought increases disease in animals and also reduces food and water supplies. The villagers do not have a proper way of saving water. The villagers have to stay thirsty or go hungry for days. Some villagers who are old, children who could not endure the hardship will die. They earn little and have to pay more for food. Farmers lose a lot of money because of drought. The villagers do not feed on proper food or protein. They just live with hope surged in their hearts. The villagers live happily with the very little thing they have. They might not be living comfortable, but the villagers still support each other. They actively participate, respect each other, and contribute positively to their village. The villagers foster a sense of belonging. They build a relationship and work together towards common objective. The villagers hardly put on good clothes. They always wear whatever they had, even if it was tattered or worn out, their hands calloused from years of hard labor, but they still smile and enjoy every bit of their moment in their village. Without warning, an unforeseen, bewildering building was established in their village. None of the villagers knew what purpose the building was for their village. The construction of the building was fast and paid beautiful attention to the design. The villagers began to get curious. The villagers were curious to find out what was the purpose of the building in their village. The building was big and tall, not the regular building in their village. Hope and curiosity surged in the villagers' heart, waiting and anticipating to what importance the building was going to bring to their village. The village has been buzzing with rumor. The uncertain rumor continued. In the course of time, a tall shadowed building looked like a giant. In the center of the village, very close to the market square, the building piercing the sky with 1,000 shattered holes where windows used to be as the wind howled through them, with desks, ripped wires, and hanging fluorescent light. The building was beautiful and also inviting. Men and women dressed in corporate wares, different and beautiful with fine texture and fabric. The village wondered what they had come to do in their village. Food was prepared in huge quantities and served to the villagers, welcoming the villagers to living a good, comfortable, and wealthy life. At the top of the building, a very big poster with the name of the building, Lepo Africa Loan, written in bold letter. The villagers were relieved and happy for the free food they had collected. The villagers continued to receive food items from the men and women dressed in fine clothing. The Lepo worker explained their purpose to the villagers and what benefits their company has for the villagers. The villagers come together with their opened, anticipating to hear what benefit they are to enjoy. A black man dressed in an elegant black suit stood up to address the villagers the big benefit they have brought to their village. The man explained to the villagers that their company is a loan bank that has decided to give out loans to the villagers with little interest and no collateral. The villagers will be opportune to use the loan 2 months before payment. The whole village bursted into a loud laughter, cheering, singing and dancing to the new improvement in their village. The villagers were content and satisfied, their joy unfolded like a flower. The improvement and better life they have always wanted to live has finally come to the village. Hope bloomed inside the villagers with happiness. They began to sign the contract. Some of the villagers borrowed little money from the loan bank, while some borrowed large amount of money. They built house. They bought new material and tool for their business. Most farmer used the loan they collected to buy new water storage, preparing ahead for drought, so their crop and animal will not die. The whole village stood in front of the Lepo Africa loan waiting for their turn to sign loan
contract.
Villagers who want their children educated use the money to send their children to school. The whole village ate without worries in their hearts. With the loan they were able to afford food, clothing, and other basic needs. The villagers no longer feed on unhealthy food. They eat healthy food with their table filled with varieties of drinks and different protein and different veggies. The villagers' home was always warm and filled with chatting and laughter, their faces radiating pure joy. Their joy is infectious. The whole villagers were filled with joy. Their smile was a brilliant flash of sunlight breaking through a cloudy sky. The villagers' smile spread slowly, starting at the corner of their lip and reaching their eyes, which sparkled with genuine warmth. At that moment, it felt as if all the villagers' worries melted away, replaced by an inviting sense of hope. The villagers were at peace, showing their gratitude to the Lepo Africa loan. Their joy continues for just a short period of time. When Lepo brought to the villagers notice after 2 months of them enjoying the loan, it was finally time to pay back. The villagers and Lepo agreed on a day in a week in which they will pay part of the loan to Lepo. The payback was good at first, with the villagers paying regularly on the day of the week they are to pay. With low interest, the villagers jumped to the offer, not fully knowing the consequences of them not being able to pay on the day of the payback. At first the villagers' faces always lit up with smiles as bright as the sun when they sight the Lepo building or workers. But after some time, when the villagers were unable to pay part of the loan on the due day of the week, this comes with hectic punishment, a sacrifice the villagers have to pay if they are unable to pay back the money. The Lepo official will either flog them, lock them in a dirty-smelling room or toilet, force the villagers or their children to work hard. Labor has a sacrifice they have to pay in return for them being unable to pay part of the money they are to pay to Lepo. The villagers will borrow a loan from Lepo to repay the debt they are owing Lepo, still having debt in front of them. All the investment the villagers had used Lepo loan for never flourished. Instead, they all went down the drain, leaving the villagers in worse scenarios. Villagers that start business using Lepo loans earn no profit from their business. The villagers can't tell how they spend the loan. All they know is once the loan has been granted to them, they will only rejoice for a little period of time, before all they had invested the loan on will vanish into the tiny air. The weekly sacrifice or punishment the villagers face was becoming unbearable. They thought Lepo was the answer and solution to their problem, but they never knew Lepo was the worst improvement they could ever pray for. They had nowhere to go and no other means to pay the Lepo loan. The villagers worked harder, but they were unable to pay back their loan. They all had to work harshly. Their hearts were in turmoil. The villagers prayed silently. They wished they hadn't collected the loan. Fear surged in the villagers' heart. The villagers no longer sleep peacefully. All of the wealth the villagers had accumulated, they began to sell them just so they could pay back the loan. They sell their materialistic things, but the loan was increasing rather than reducing, because on the days when they are unable to pay back, additional interest will be added to their loan as a fine, as they are unable to pay back on the day they are supposed to pay. Not only the fine is added to their loan, the villagers also get punished for not being able to pay back. Before the expected day the villagers are to pay back part of the loan, the villagers are already crying and lamenting. The whole village will be in chaos, villagers running helter-skelter selling their properties just to make sure they are able to pay back part of their loan. Those unable to find a means to pay back will be so scared, panicking and waiting for their punishment. Children crying even before Eid the day because of the pain the Lepo is bringing to their family and the village. After an hectic and sorrowful day as usual on the day of Lepo payback, heavy silence pressed down like a weight filled the air. The whole villagers locked themselves inside their home, their hearts full of sorrow and wishing they could turn back the hands of the clock to the very day the Lepo Africa loan came to their village. The silver moon hung high in the sky, casting a gentle glow over the world below. The air was cool and crisp, a soothing balm under the vast, star-studded expanse. In the distance an owl hooted, its call echoing in the stillness, adding a touch of mystery to the serene night. As shadows stretched and twisted, the moonlight seemed to weave a spell, inviting secrets to be shared and dreams to take flight. Shola whispered his thoughts to Deli. Deli eyes widened. Shola's word hit Delhi like a punch to the gut. Delhi shouted into the still and eerily silent of the night, his voice echoing into the night. Delhi stammered, his voice barely a whisper. A storm of emotion raged within Delhi. Fear, disbelief and breath caught. Delhi was in total paralysis, replaying the word in his head. Shola stood on his word. Fear and panic surged in Delhi's heart. Shola explained how they were going to carry out their operation. They cannot continue to live under the Lepo influence. They have to steal money from the Lepo to pay back their loan and villagers' loans. Shola has been observing the Lepo workers. They don't operate on a particular day in the week, which they tell villagers they want to go out of the village to fetch money, which they will lend the villagers. Shola explained his plan to Delhi. They will trail the Lepo worker to know where they always go to bring a lot of money back to the village. Delhi hissed, not approving to Shola's idea. He left with anger, but came back after some minute of thinking about the pain in Tutor and how the village are going through hard times just because of the Lepo Africa loan. Delhi agreed to Shola's plan. Delhi and Shola plan, analysis and execute their plan. On the day the Lepo Africa loan does not operate, it is known to the villagers. Delhi and Shola had gone to hide in the bush close to the market square, awaiting the Lepo worker to start their journey. On seeing the Lepo worker, Shola and Delhi got ready to start trailing the Lepo worker. Shola and Delhi, with determined strides, they bridged the space that separated them. Shola and Delhi drew closer, their footsteps echoing softly on the ground. Shola and Delhi kept on trailing the Lepo worker, their heart beating fast, waiting to execute their long-time plan, but it wasn't as easy as Delhi and Shola had thought. Originally, Shola thought the Lepo worker fetched their money from neighboring village, but the journey to fetching the Lepo money was far, shady and scary. Delhi, scared, turned back to leave only Shola to execute the plan alone. Delhi evoke a sense of unease and fear due to places they have been passing through. The Lepo worker has been walking through creepy thick forests with dense trees that create a surreal and eerie environment, walking through towns and villages that have fallen into disrepair and have been abandoned. Shola and Delhi kept trailing the Lepo worker. On getting to a very creepy forest which leads to a very high mountain. The sun had already set. The Lepo worker created a place to pass the night before embarking on their journey the next day. Shola and Delhi keeping distance not too far from the Lepo worker. Shola and Delhi also settled to pass the night in the forest. The forest was quiet, with only the rustling of leaves and the chirping of cricket or the occasional call of an owl breaking the stillness. Shadow dance among the trees. Due to the absence of light, the forest feels mysterious and enigmatic. Shola and stick together with the lurking fear of being pounced upon by an animal. The next morning, Shola and Delhi embark on their operation. The Lepo worker continued to walk until they got to a very high mountain. The rock mountain rise majestically against the clear blue sky. The Lepo worker brought out a big pouch to pack the money, splash all over the floor. Shola and Delhi inched closer to curiosity, lighting their eyes to the creature producing the money the Lepo workers are bringing to their village. Delhi screamed, but Shola was quick to cover his mouth with his hands. Frozen with fear, Shola and Delhi were breathing heavily, Delhi stumbling back, narrowing his eyes. Shola and Delhi stopped to think for a second, standing lifeless, cold shivers running down their spine. They could not believe what they were seeing. A snake producing money. The snake basks in golden rays, absorbing sunlight into its scales, its weight relaxed upon the rock. Shola and Delhi locked eyes, now understanding why the villagers were unable to get any good outcome when they invest in any business using the Lepo loan. The Lepo money is not from a clean source. No wonder they never get to finish their loan payment. The Lepo loan always disappears before the villagers' eyes, once they have collected the loan. None of the villagers were able to completely pay their debt. The debt only continues to grow with fines, if the villagers are unable to pay the weekly pay back. Shola and Delhi, angry, returned back to their village, walking as fast as they could. The fear in their heart was replaced with anger and confidence to tell the villagers the main source of the Lepo Africa loan. On getting to the village, Delhi and Shola's family were already panicking because they didn't know their whereabouts. Shola and Delhi stood on the stone podium used to address the villagers, speaking with anger, exposing the source of the Africa loan Lepo to the villagers. Despite Shola and Delhi with no evidence to prove their words, The villagers believed them, expressing their anger on how the Lapo Africa loan had duped them. They have been wronged. The African loan Lapo has messed with their illiteracy. The villagers marched to the Lapo building in anger, burning down the building, destroying the Lapo building, just like the way the Lapo had destroyed their lives. On the Lapo workers' arrival, they were shocked by the sight in front of them. Deli shouted, "Look at those bloody liars. Their source of money is from a snake." The Lapo worker widened their eyes, knowing their secret had just been exposed. The villagers' eye darkened, picking whatever they have to attack the Lapo worker. The Lapo worker ran as fast as they could, knowing if they got caught, the villagers are going to kill them. The villagers were ability to catch the Lapo worker. The Lapo workers were flogged the same way they had flogged the villagers. The villagers gave rightful punishment to the Lapo worker before chasing them out of their village, for them to continue enjoying and living their peaceful, serene, and debt-free life. Shola and Deli rejoiced that their village is back at peace and that their villagers are now back to normal, without having to fear or worry about the Africa loan Lapo.